To start us off for our today's lesson, let us start off with the Nandi resistance. Let us start off with the Nandi resistance. The Nandi resistance, that is the first one that we are going to start. So allow me to take you back to the previous topic that you have been studying, that is, or that you studied in your Form 1, the people of Kenya. You studied about the social, political, and economic organization of the Nandi as a society. And I'm sure you discovered that Nandi was, the Nandi were a very closely packed community. They had strong structures, strong culture that united the community. So by as they settled in the Rift Valley, this is a community that is found in the Rift Valley. They are found in the Rift Valley. So they had a very strong community and they had a very strong leadership. They had well-established leadership through the institution of the Orkoiyot. Through the institution of the Orkoiyot, which galvanized or which united the people. So with the leader or the Orkoiyot, who was the leader of the Nandi community, the Nandi became expendable. They were an expendable community. They had a very strong structure. Whatever they decided to do, they had to do it because they were united. They had a very tight relation. None of their secrets could be known by their neighbors or by their enemies. So they were dreaded. They were feared by even their neighbors. An example are the Maasai. So the Nandi were a very feared community. So when the British came and tried to take control of the Rift Valley. Remember, we are talking of the Rift Valley. These are Kenyan highlands, right? They have very fertile soil. So it was a very good place where the British wanted to settle in and establish their settlement. So the Nandi definitely decided to resist. They decided to come up in arms against the British. Now, let us now ask ourselves, what were the causes of their resistance? The causes of their resistance. Because we have mentioned, this is a very tight community. A community that has established a very large territory in the Rift Valley compared even to the other communities. So they had various reasons for revolting or rebelling against the British. The first one is their pride, the Nandi pride. So the Nandi considered themselves expendables. They considered themselves the best. They believed that no any other community could be able to overcome them. So they had a sense of pride in themselves. They believed that they could be able to defeat. Actually, they had defeated all the other communities. They had defeated the Gusi. They had defeated the Luo. They had defeated the Luya, and they could attack this community as they wished, because they had a very organized army from the initiation. And as you remember, you studied the initiation program of the Nandi. So they had a sense of pride in themselves, and this really made them to stand up, or they wanted to continue to maintain their pride that we are the unbeatable society. So even when the British came, they thought this is just another people that we are going to fight and defeat. So that is the first cause that made them to resist. The other one was the physical appearance. The physical appearance. the physical appearance of the British. So the British are light-skinned as opposed to the Nandi, who are dark-skinned generally. The British, or their color, was considered to be, they were considered to be like devils. So they were despised by the Nandi. So when somebody of a different color comes to take control of their land, so they quickly decided to revolt or fight against the British because of their appearance. So the British were viewed as devils that were coming to take control of their land. So that was a motivation enough for the Nandi to fight against the British. The other one is Kimnyole's prophecy. So this was an Orkoyot who prophesied the coming of the British. He prophesied that the Nandi land, or the people of Nandi, were going to be defeated, or they were going to be ruled by foreigners. Actually, he saw an idea, or he saw people like butterflies, and also he prophesied even the coming of a very big snake into the land of the Nandi. So the people were trying to discredit this prophecy that had been made by this Orkoyot, who had, through his prophecy, seen the coming of the British and seen the land being ruled or being led by a foreign people. So the people were fighting so that this prophecy does not come to pass. So they knew already, when the first instance they saw the British coming, they knew actually we had been told by our Orkoyot that such a people are going to come, and they are going to try and take control of our land. So they were motivated by this prophecy. They were motivated by the words of this Orkoyot, Kimnyole's prophecy, and its prophecy here, Kimnyole's prophecy. So they were motivated to stand up and fight. Another reason is loss of land. So the British came and started to occupy the lands in which they were living in. They were farmers. Most of the Nandi were farmers. So they had established lands where they could farm. Now the British come and demand that they go away or leave their land for the British. So they could not easily accept to do that. And then also they wanted to maintain their independence. Maintain independence. They wanted to maintain their independence. They had their own system of administration. They had their own leaders. They wanted to decide what to do at what time and how to do it. Now the British come and want to tell them what to do. So they fought, or they decided to rise up in arms against the British. Another reason or another cause was taxation. The British came and introduced something known as the heart tax. This was each and every community, or each and every man was supposed to pay a certain amount of money based on the number of huts he had in his homestead. So the Nandi were asking ourselves, these are the houses we have built using our own hands, and here you come as a British man and you are telling us we should pay because of the houses we have built with our own strength. So they could not reconcile that fact, and they decided to revolt against the British. The next point, or the next reason or cause of them to fight against the British was they wanted to fight against forced labor. With establishment of plantations, the British came and settled in their highlands, and they started planting tea, coffee and such like plantations, and they were conscripting the Nandi. They were forcing them to go and work in this land, and they're also being forced to work in the homesteads or in the settlements of the European people or the British. So the people detest that. So they did not want to continue providing their labor. They wanted to have their own peace and their own way of life. Let us look at the last two causes of of their resistance. The other one was they mistrusted strangers. They had a mistrust for strangers. They could not easily accept anybody that they do not know because of the closeness of their kinship, because of the ties they had in the community. They could not easily accept strangers. So they obviously rebelled against the coming of the European who tried to come and settle amongst themselves. They believed that land was given to them. That land they had conquered by their military. So they could not easily accept any stranger. Even before the coming of the British, it was the practice of the Nandi to seriously interrogate any stranger who has come into their territory. And then lastly, they had a strong military. They had a strong military. They had a very strong age-set system that constantly provided the community with a standing army. They always had a standing army that was well trained. So when the initiates are being initiated into adulthood, they would be taken into the forest where they would stay for months, being told or being trained on the value of the community, being trained on war tactics, making poison arrows, how to fight a war. So they had a well-trained army that believed and that had a very strong brotherhood. They had a very strong brotherhood. So none could stand up against the other. So even if you were to catch one of them, he will not tell you where the other members of the army are because they were well trained. They had become a unit. They lived like brothers. So this military was what really motivated the Nandi people to fight or to stand up against the British.